Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony, along with Chris and Marco, and this is Hard Knock Hawks. This is the podcast where we talk about our favorite basketball team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other stuff in the NBA too. The last few days in the NBA have been incredibly busy for the Atlanta Hawks. In summary, the Hawks traded for Kristaps for Porzingis. They traded their picks twice. They got a future first-round picks from the Pelicans or the Bucks that could be very interesting in the future. And they drafted Asa Newell, a somewhat controversial player on Hawks Twitter, if you've seen any of that, at 20 at pick 23 when draft night day one was finished. We're gonna go over everything and more, starting with this first piece of small news I want to get out the way. Hawks signed Eli John Nadane from Real Madrid to a two-way contract after the second round was over. He was a part of the Liga AECB title run. He's the second two-way contract after Daquan Plowden. There's only one two-way spot left on the roster currently. And fun fact, Eli has played with two former Hawk players, Bruno Fernando and Eddie Tavares. Does anyone have any idea or any suggestions on what other two-way players they want to add currently to this roster? I think obviously probably Nico Jurisic could be one since he's in the Skyhawks right now. You have an idea, Marco or Chris?
Um, I wouldn't say Nico. I think Nico just needs another year or two, maybe down in College Park if he somehow stays there. Um, I don't really know the guys that are left after the second round because the guys I wanted that we could have potentially traded into for the second round are kind of already taken. So at this point, I'm like, you just go find the best player that you feel is at available for that spot. Maybe Jalen's brother. He might get that last spot. He might be something in the college park. And, might can develop him into something. Or you give it back to Obi Toppin's brother. I actually was a fan of him last for the time we did have him. I think he's a big wing, large. He is explosive, attacks the rim. So maybe if you develop him a little bit more, he can get that spot. Like again, I don't really know the remaining undrafted free agents. Chris.
No, I mean, for me, I don't know. It's really tough to say at this point. It could really just be anybody. Onsi new and guys that were Landry's guys knows that he's going to bring them back. Or how invested he is in some of those developmental guys. I think it's interesting that they went out and grabbed that Real Madrid kid. I kind of might expect them to go grab another guy that we've never heard of. I think it's weird that Nico still doesn't have a contract after all this time. So I feel like he would have gotten one by now if they were going to give him one. So we'll see how that goes. I think he might be just okay with developing here for some reason. Um, and maybe they have some type of agreement that he'll have first dibs at some point. But it's also something that could keep open till camp. You bring in some guys and let them try to figure it out. It could be a decision that goes up into September, October, even. We'll see. It really could be anybody. But yeah, there's Nico probably has the inside line.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to feel like too. Right now, I think it's probably Nico Jurisic, other than maybe if Doc sees someone they really like at Summer League. But right now, I can't really think of anybody else currently. So it's just an interesting question, I think, that we're just gonna have to wait to see answers for. Um, but now we're gonna get into the thing I think everyone's been waiting for, and that's the draft. That's the process for the NBA draft. If you watched our reactions on Dealey's playback stream, it was a very interesting thing that happened. Initially, I think a lot of us were thinking, okay, it was going exactly the way it was going to go for us. I know some of us in this room thought we were probably going to get Model Watch, but then the Suns picked him up at pick 10, um, which I think probably surprised a lot of people. full considering that they traded for Mark Williams beforehand. But I guess the Suns probably just want to stash him, maybe or not. I don't know. It's weird what the Suns are doing right now because they're just trading all their picks and stuff for forwards, and yeah, it's just weird. But then we're just gonna talk about what we did during draft night. So during draft night, we did not draft at pick 13. We actually drafted at pick 23. It's because the Pelicans decided to deal with us, and we actually got an unprotected 2026 pick, which could be the best of either the Pelicans or the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I think this may single-handedly be the best asset, may even be the best deal out of like the entire draft, honestly. Um, the Pelicans used the 13th pick to draft their queen. Chris, what's your general thoughts on that draft night deal, considering everything?
No, it was a great pick or a great move for the Hawks in terms of moving back. It was unfortunate that pretty much everybody that felt like a really good fit and worthy of that 13 pick for the Hawks is pretty much off the board. As much as I like Carter Bryant, I think he's extremely theoretical. The offensive game just could never come. The lack of production. He's the type of guy that could hit the NBA floor and be amazing, but he could also just never uh, tap into that because he's never done it. Um, so I think the Hawks moving back was smart, and being able to get that pick was reckless of the Pelicans. It's fine by me. I'm not really sure why. I mean, they've had a really bad year. Sometimes teams try to like force their way to a few wins, just to sell some tickets, maybe to keep Zion happy. I think they made a horrible pick with Derek Queen. I think that's a rough fit because I think he and Zion are almost the same player in terms of what they want to do, and what they need around them. And what they need around them is not the same person. So yeah, that's bad for them. But for us, that's a team that's looks like a mess right now, and we have a chance to get a really high pick from them. And then you're looking at the Bucks, and that's a team that is also looking a bit like a mess at this point. They might end up having to run Kevin Porter Jr. as their starting point guard, and Kyle Kuzma next to Giannis, and I think Brook could retire or sign a deal like with LA or something. We'll see where he ends up. He's going to likely chase a bag, and I don't think the Bucks can afford to pay him. They have one pick, I think, and some seconds to try to, or one first and some seconds to try to work with. So they seem pretty hamstrung, and it's tough. Giannis is apparently already rethinking staying, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, the Hawks made a great move in my opinion. It's high upside. You moved back after the guys you wanted were gone. You didn't make a desperation pick, and I think the player they got in Asa Newell is fine by me. He looks like a really hard worker, and that forward position, you really just need guys that have size, and the athletic tools, some the IQ to play defense, but his agility, I think, will help him play up. I think he'll be able to defend multiple positions long term. He was a great finisher, and I don't know if the offensive environment was that great for him. I mean, that's kind of the deal in college. It's tough for players in general.
I
Big,
did mention like on the playback stream, I think it will be really interesting to see him play with someone like Porzingis because seeing that spacing and stuff, that I think that will help him a lot
yeah, yeah.
as
I
a
mean, the
finisher and
college.
stuff.
I mean, I think it's like overlooked that the college 3-point line is closer in. Teams can pack the paint. They're gonna have people all over. the- They're trying to stop the rim. People can't shoot in college, so the fact that he was as productive as he was without any guards that really showed any playmaking ability whatsoever, I think it's impressive. Bigs can't feed themselves, so for him to get the chances he got and capitalize on them was big. I did see D Lee as issues with the pick and roll, but it's tough when you're working with guys like that versus what you're going to be working with NBA. So I think there's some upside there they can tap into. He doesn't have the true size to play at the 5, but I think the Hawks have the bodies to get him the select minutes they need this year, and by next season he could be ready to be a solid third big in the NBA. I think as he gets stronger with his ability to jump and the timing that he's shown, productive defensive playmaking, yeah, it could be a good player. And then you added another pick next season that has crazy upside. So yeah, it was a good draft for Onsi.
What do you think, Marco, generally about the whole process of how Atlanta did things during the draft?
That was our best draft since what? Since I don't know. That's how long it's been since I've had a draft where I'm liking the outcome of actually of how we process through it and everything. This is the first time I've been like, wow, Um, I'll start with is it Asa?
I think it's Asa.
That's a fire name. I can't cap. Um, Asa is I feel like at 23, you can't really be mad at the pick. Like I seen our boy D Lee, he was upset about it. Seen a few other people we know upset about it, but it's like at 23, he was best player available when a lot of people had them on their top top 14 and on their big boards like Sam Facini. I think Sam Facini actually had him at like 30, surprisingly. But Zach Lau had him at 8. A couple other people had him pretty in that 8 to 14 range. So essentially you got the best player available at 23. Like, yeah, you had guys like Rasheer or Gang really should have failed to that far. I feel like that was a reach by the
Yeah,
Blazers.
that was honestly kind of insane. And they
That
got
was
like
a huge
5 centers now, like 4 or 5 centers.
Gang, they starting point guard now, man. But
I don't know.
yeah, I feel like again, you got essentially the best player at 23, and on top of that, you got a unprotected 26 first, which is crazy because of everything I've read, I've seen the Pelicans wanted Derek Queen bad, and they shown how bad they wanted to get him. I don't like the fit of Derek Queen in New Orleans, but that's not my team. So hey, um, I appreciate you, New Orleans. Y'all probably blocked our phone now because essentially we've recovered like in what 2.5 years. We've recovered from the DeJounte trade already.
And
With
more
keeping asset.
potentially. Like
Yeah,
it's insane. Like Joe Dumars may need to get his name hung up in the rafters. Like
that's
it's
a Hawks legend
incredible.
right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the process of how we did it. Again, Asa at 23 was literally the best player available. Again, you could argue the other guys. Then you got to pick on top of it. You really can't hate how we came with the draft. And hey, I'm with Asa. You got to back up forward. You got size. A lot of guys. We had Terrence Mann running the 4 last year. You can't be too mad at Asa at this point.
Yeah.
Like you can't be too. You really can't be too mad at it. And again, his size, you might not know where Asa is like offensively yet or who he is offensively, but he has an upside on both sides. He's a good transition guy. He's like a good energy guy. That's kind of what you just need at that 4 position. And again, we have guys to cover up for what he lacks. And it's always going to be a one-on, one-off with Trey and Jalen, with even KP now. So again, I like how the draft played out.
Yeah, I agree with everything both of y'all said. Especially with what you said, Marco, about not having Terrence Mann on the team anymore. Just no more playing a David Roddy and Terrence Mann at the 4 anymore. Just we can have actual power forward size players at the 4. Think about that. Think about that for a second. No more Terrence Mann randomly pushing players at crucial moments at the game, like 2 minutes in crunch time. Like it's amazing, right? Like we can have actual size on the court. And also, I think it can also work as, I don't know if this is the best phrase to use this, but let's say Jalen's out for a couple of games. You can at least have an actual, you know, power forward to play with Trey or Porzingis, and that can actually help the team a lot. Obviously, he's not Jalen, but having just a player that's similar size to him will just help this team a lot, especially in transition where after Jalen got injured, the transition opportunities just completely collapsed. So I think the Asa Newell pick was fine. Obviously, him being a tweener is not the best, but I think the roster construction should be good enough to where that we'll be able to just hopefully be able to um work it out generally. I think obviously after this draft, the main thing they need to just focus on at this point is just getting more wings and hopefully guards because they don't really have that many wings right now to like actually guard any other guards and stuff on teams since I think we're kind of forwarded out at this point. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see on what's gonna happen during these next few days, honestly. They've been linked to I said Nikolai, Nickel Alexander Walker for the past few days. So I'm gonna actually ask about that real quick. Marco, what's your thoughts about that signing potentially?
I feel like that would be good for his team. He's a decent 3-and-D guy. His 3-point shot has evolved like a lot, and he's shot his best of his career in Minnesota like this previous season. Excuse me. I think that would be a good pickup. My thing is, are the Hawks, because it's clear that the Hawks really want to bring back Karras, and it's clear that Karras' camp wants him to come back as well. So my thing is, are you trusting Karras to run the point guard, which is not really bad because he still can run an offense to a degree and is a shot creator. Because NWA, I mean, no, I'm gonna just say no. No, he's he's 6'5", so you primarily want to play him at the 1 and 2, like guarding 1 and 2s, and situational threes, depending who is at that 3. Like if it was a weaker guy like RJ Barrett or somebody like that, you could put him there. But I don't really think you can start him at 3 just because of how the roster is kind of, built right now and things like that. I feel like you would want him at the 2. But it would be a good signing for the team that shows another win now move. You're getting another defender. Having Naw and Dyson coming off switching off that pick and roll,
Yeah,
switching off screens, that's devastating for other teams. So kind of, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it. That would be a big acquisition for the team, but I do think Hawks should try to get another shot creating wing and then go from there after you re-sign Karras, because I feel like that's all we're missing at this point. What
yeah,
about you, Chris?
I am not as sold. I mean, there's a lot of like playoff hype that comes with a guy having some success. I think he's a solid age, right? It really depends on the price. I don't know that the Hawks should overpay just to get him. I think with the exceptions, you can. There's some younger players that probably have more upside that I would um prefer they go after. I think as a defender though, right, it depends on what role you're looking for him, and if it's kind of like a minutes eater, or like just a guy that's not Terrence Mann, right, that you guys can kind of depend on defensively more. He's had a couple good shooting seasons in a row. It's not something that he's done consistently throughout his career, so it worries me a little bit. I mean, there's the Trey bump, right, and it's a team that passes the ball really well, so he'll have a lot of open shots with Dyson and Jalen feeding him. Um, the spacing would be there, so I think it'd be a positive environment for him, and there could be some upside. There's not much out on the in terms of impact outside of the threes, so that worries me. Though don't get me wrong, he's a good defender. I'm just talking about like rebounding, assist wise. Um, so yeah, I think it wouldn't be a bad move for sure. I mean, this is a team that definitely needs another guard, especially after trading Terrence Mann. So yeah, it really depends on how much they spend and what other options that they consider. But yeah, uh, I understand the appeal by some, but I'm not quite as sold. But yeah. What about you, Ant?
Um, I think he'll be fine. Honestly, I like watching Alexander Walker a lot in Minnesota. I don't see him honestly in a point guard role, to be fair. And with what you said, Marco, I don't see Karras in a point guard role either, unless it's just, you know, point guard by committee, maybe something like that. Like if it's just like I said, point guard by committee, I guess that could work, but it'll be weird if that's how they do it. And like you said, Chris, there really isn't that many threes that are just available on the free for free agency right now, unless he decides to just trade for one. And even then, um, I don't really know if they really have the assets to trade for one. Well, I mean, they have a few extra picks now, so I mean they could, but I don't know if they're willing to do that. If the Hawks are willing to do that, so I mean it's interesting. I mean, I guess Alexander Walker could do it, but I'm not super confident that I trust him right now if he can. So I guess if they do sign him, it's just probably just gonna be like point guard by committee. And I don't know if I exactly trust that system to like just work really well here, unless maybe one of our players just like make a jump in passing or something. Like I don't know. I think it'll just be really weird, honestly. But we'll just wait and see. I think for what the Hawks do. I honestly still think they just need to find some cheap backup point guard to just run the offense. Still like Corey Joseph or maybe who's that guy in on the Bulls that's bald? I forgot his name. Uh does anyone know or nah, I forgot.
Was that like Devin Carter or whatever?
Yeah, his last
Devin
name's like
Carter? No,
not Devin Carter. I think his name's
no.
Javon Carter.
Javon
Oh,
Carter. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Mm,
That okay.
yeah. Feel like that's better picks than
I don't
defaulting
really
to
think it's that
Javon.
big a deal, man.
Yeah, I
I know
mean, I
you don't
guess
want to
pretty.
like stagger Dyson
Yeah,
and but if you have you have forwards now in your front court. If you go get a three to make sure that Veet doesn't have to ever really play that position, I think you can have him come in and be a little bit of a one with Dyson.
I mean, I
And then
assume
you have
that.
Karras, and if you do bring in right, it's just kind of about having the guys defensively so that
Yeah,
Veet can just be Veet and give you like the little 8 minutes and come in and pass the ball because I
yeah.
think that would be the way to use him. I mean, obviously, I'd be fine with like a veteran, but it really depends on the price. They have those three trade exceptions, and using one of the $10 million ones on a point guard wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. It may not. I may be making a big deal out of nothing, but I don't
I'm
know.
about, I'm about to say I'm pretty sure if you really wanted to like just go get a guy, Tyus Jones is
Yeah, he
unrestricted.
is. Yeah, and he's probably available for cheap.
I mean, like that would be the option if you just
Yeah.
like just wanted to get a guy because I don't think Devontae to Javon Carter is helping anything.
Well, I would say if you're like trying to break down why like the backup point guard is like a big deal, and it's because like the offense goes bad when Trey sits, but there's different ways to solve that problem, right? It doesn't have to be someone that runs the offense. It could be someone that can just come in and score, which is the whole idea of Karis LeVert, right? He can come in and get his own shot for a little bit, and if you have him and KP out there taking turns a little bit while Trey is out, I think that would be a way to navigate those minutes. So
Yeah,
it really depends on what Onsi can pull off and what strategy they kind of go for. They have that analytical guy from Philly, so we'll see what Dinwiddie and Onsi figure it out.
yeah. But let's move on to I think probably the biggest star trade that the Hawks made in like 2-3 years since DeJounte, the Atlanta Hawks traded for Kristaps Porzingis. It happened 2 days ago as we're recording this. Hawks sent out Terrence Mann and the 22nd pick to the Brooklyn Nets. Niang and a second round pick went to the Celtics, and the Atlanta Hawks got back Kristaps Porzingis, and we also received a 2026 second round pick. Kristaps Porzingis is obviously a huge acquisition. He only has 1 year left on his contract, but he was a big part of the reason why the Celtics got the 1 seed in the year that they got the championship in 2024. He's 7 feet tall. He's one of the best shot blockers in the league. He's a great 3-point shooter. This is something that I think a lot of Hawks fans have basically been begging for an archetype for a player for years. He's big. He's called the unicorn for a reason. Chris, what's your thoughts generally on this acquisition?
It's a big one. One, you have to think about like what they gave up, which really wasn't much in terms of 22, which they ended up turning around and getting 23. So, and they got the guy that apparently they were targeting the whole time, which could be double speak. I mean, a lot of marketing this time of year, and you don't want to be like, yeah, we settled. But to get who they wanted, to trade back and get KP for basically salary dump is massive. I think this is a player we've talked before, like on Twitter and in spaces about the stretch five. Right, people have been wanting Trey to have one like basically forever, and the issue is like most of them aren't that good at defense. So like the shot blocking stretch five is like a literal unicorn. They don't really exist, and we were kind of, it's almost like the flying car. We were promised a bunch of them like a long time ago, and we were expecting to have like plenty of those guys around the league by now. And it just hasn't happened. It's just that skill set and defense don't always go together. The guys that have that skill don't always have the strength. The guys that have the strength rarely have the skill. He was a mix of guys. Really, he's got the length, and he's strong in terms of big. So it's like the what you want Chet to kind of become, or long term, right? In terms of physically. So I think it's a massive get. It's a player that is coveted. I think a lot of teams would love to have him. So to have that guy here, what he can do for you at the rim, the shooting, he opens up a lot for you on both ends. You can kind of mix and match and do a lot of different things throughout the game. With his versatility offensively, and then being able to use him and drop some, let Dyson get a little aggressive, and then still be able to have Onyeka to come in and play more of a switching style. I think you can kind of keep teams guessing. So yeah, it's a great pickup, and yeah, I'm excited to see what the Hawks dial up with KP. Marco.
Yeah, so that's a big thing for the Hawks to get an actual footer, who can stretch the floor, block some shots, has a post game, can easily get to the rim. That's what the Hawks have been needing for the longest. And yeah, that's a big grab. Again, like Chris said, you basically got him for a salary dump. You only gave up Man 22 and Niang. Like, you went from Niang to KP, and somehow people were still like mad at that, which is crazy in a sense. But that's still a good, for what you gave up. That's still a good. There's a good formula no matter what. So that is big. Now I do get that KP does have the injury history, and even though while he only played 42 games this season, he still played the playoffs. But you can still tell whatever he was dealing with during the regular season was still lingering in the playoffs, and he wasn't himself. In the last 3 seasons, he's played 65 games, 57 games, and 42 this season. So essentially, you can probably get him. From the regular season, all I realistically need from him is around 65, maybe 70 on a good day, 65. That's all I realistically want from him. He doesn't have a large load as he did in as in Boston and Washington, even though he played a lot more games in Washington. Because we have OO is backing him up, so it's a good fit. That's a good guy for trade to pass it out to, another real scoring option. I like it. Again, can't be mad at it because of what you gave up, and especially with the moves you just made in the draft, and a few more moves to most likely come. What about you, Ant?
I mean, I was honestly kind of shocked that we actually got Porzingis, and I just realized something too. Is this the first actual all-star first actual all-star that Trey actually played with that wasn't just, how am I trying to say this? That wasn't just an injury replacement. Well, technically, injury replacements are all-stars, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? Like it's really crazy, right? Like I'm kind of,
Trey played with Vince Carter.
that's true. That's true. You're right. You're right. I forgot about him. Like,
But
but
in terms of like
you
a
get,
guy in his prime,
yeah,
is this the best player Trey's played with? I think is probably the
yeah,
question. And yeah,
objectively, like
he's better than DeJounte.
like
He's
this
had
is,
more 20. Sorry, where you?
no, you're good.
I
You
was
can
gonna
go
say, I
ahead.
mean, he's had more productive scoring seasons before he went to Boston to like willingly be like the third option or whatever you want to call it there to win a ring. He had 23 a game in Washington without a real point guard setting them up. I think the year before they might have had Russ, but and obviously he played with Luca early, but he was an all-star. The thing about KP was really explosive when he first came into the league. That knee injury robbed him of some of that. But the thing is, when you're 7'3" and you can shoot, you can stick in the league, and he's turned himself into a really good player to come back. He's dealt with some injuries, but what he does, man, he's very good. Yeah, he changes the game at the rim. He's one of the better rim protectors. And then the elite 3-point shooting at that size is huge. And yeah, 23, 8, and like 3, I think he had his last year in Washington. Yeah, he's better than DeJounte. DeJounte's average is like less than KP's anyway.
Yeah, I just want to point the way the trade happened, like everything accelerated so fast. I'm so used to Hawks being in that Hawks are interested and then we lose, but I never expected a trade from us to get done that fast.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing too, right? It just happened. That's the way to put it,
Like
right?
literally, as soon as I had sent the Jake Fisher tweet, like the Shams had posted the trade, I'm like, ain't even get a chance to react for real. So that was nice
Yeah,
though.
but I'm just looking at his stats, right? It's career, right? His last year at Boston, even though he was injured, he only played 42 games, career high 3-point percentage, and career high 3-point attempts. What else? Let me go through
I'm
this.
getting a 41% 3-point shooter at
Yeah,
my
41 3-point
center,
percent
man.
shooter.
And he
90
protects the rim. Man.
99 percentile rim protection at rim protection. 97.4 LeBron percent, 97.4 percentile LeBron from B-ball index. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is, when he's healthy, he's a top 40 player. It's crazy. And you just don't see these type of things for the Hawks lately. And I
Yeah.
can just imagine just how versatile he's gonna make this team be. Honestly, how open the rim is gonna be, and how I just imagine all the pick and pop threes Trey's gonna be involved in with KP. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off
Yeah.
everyone, I think, which is the big thing. Everyone can kind of slot into their natural role and then maybe play up above that as opposed to like being thrown in the deep end and having to like try to figure it out. I think he gives Trey an out, and he's a mature player that's prepared to figure out um how to get his shot off right. There are times when Trey is like, I don't like this look, and he's passing it to Jalen and like wants Jalen to do something with it, and like, but Jalen just didn't have anything that he knew to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Throws it back to Trey. Now KP can post up, which is much easier way to get some offense too, right? You don't have to do a whole lot if he gets position. He can seal and but yeah, if things aren't great, yeah, that's a guy who you can throw to and he can exploit a mismatch. And most matchups are mismatches when you're 7-3. So
Now, let's ask the big question here. Do you guys think Porzingis starts in the starting lineup, or do you think he's going to come off the bench, considering his injury history?
I
You can
believe
go first, Marco.
he's look at first when it happened, I was like, maybe they got him to be a backup center, but then I was like thinking about it really. I'm like, he's in a contract year, he's making 30 mil. You know, this and that, the third. It's ideal for him to start, and him starting doesn't mean he gets like the majority of the minutes. He probably will in crunch time or whatever, because just to take some load off of him, because again, we know his injury history. He starts because it just helps the starting lineup, especially with Trey, Jalen, and Dyson. It helps them a lot because those are two guys that like to attack the rim, so that's easy for them. So I believe he starts.
Chris, what do you think?
it's interesting. I think what they should do more than anything, to be fair, is just have an open competition in camp. I don't know how much they do that anymore because camp is so much shorter anyway. I do assume that he would start just as the better rim protector. You can establish your defense a bit more. It's the decision that they've made for years with Clint, and this is guy that is better than Clint at the rim and opens up their offense. I think the big reason you trade for him is to probably start him. It might be the best way to maximize him. And Jalen and Dyson lineups, especially, would benefit from KP being out there on both ends. I think he's the more experienced player, right? He's got a championship, but yeah, I honestly just think he's the better overall player. Onyeka gives you some switchability, and I think he might be a little bit better rebounder. Neither is like a heavy rebounder. I think just the fact that KP is a legitimate shooter that can handle real volume, and then impact the game at the rim. I think he's likely to just win the job in camp. But yeah, I do expect him to be the starter.
I said like the day that we traded for Porzingis to you, Marco, that I'll bet $20 that he would probably come off the bench. I'm gonna recant that bet. I don't think he's gonna come off the bench. I think he's probably starting. I think
I'm about to say he's in contract year, man.
yeah, like
He's gonna want to.
I mean, I think I'm just the reason is because like I was just looking at like some Porzingis highlights, right? And I'm just like, man, this guy is really, really, really good. And there's no way that Quinn's not gonna start him. There's zero chance he's not gonna start him unless Onyeka just completely becomes an incredible 3-point shooter over the summer, honestly. And even then, it's just the fact that Porzingis is such a good shot blocker is just I don't think there is any reason that you just don't start Porzingis. Even though like obviously Porzingis has obvious flaws, like he is a really great mover for in like space. I think you still have to just take that risk because of just how good of a rim protector is, how good he is on offense, that it really just doesn't matter, honestly.
Yeah, well, I do think the fact that you have Dyson does alleviate some of the worries about the drop, right? He's so
Yeah,
good in ISO, and he's just an elite defender in general. But when you have that really good guy at the point of attack, you can have that big. He doesn't have to be as aggressive, and then you also have Zach and Jalen out there on the perimeter, who can really kind of play up and hopefully alleviate those worries. But yeah, it would. I mean, yeah, like to your point, Onyeka would have to come back and just really take over the gym, right, and be that dude and dominate. Because Kristaps is ready to be like a franchise center for like most teams. The thing is, Onyeka's gonna get to start a few games this year. I think
yeah, he probably
even
will.
if KP is the full-time starter, I think it would be smart for them to do some load management. I think everybody should kind of aim for 65 if possible. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he'd love to be healthy enough to play all 82. And in a contract year, maybe he does come in the type of shape where he can do that this year. But I think if you get 60 to 65 games out of him, Onyeka still gets to start quite a few, and I think that's kind of where you see the Asa Newell of it all come in a little bit, right? You
Yeah,
have some insurance there for those games where KP might need to rest a little bit. Um, just being a guy that size and playing that position, it can be a toll. And having all the extra bodies allow you to keep him fresh and maybe not play heavy minutes on both ends of the back to back. Maybe he sits one. He'll probably try to play him, but maybe you do go low, right? And there's a night where he doesn't play power forward. And he and Onyeka just shared the center position. And then maybe he sits a couple games, getting close to the All-Star break, you know. So yeah, you have some optionality with the amount of 4s and 5s that they've got together. It was really important for them to get a 4. I felt like in this draft, I know everyone is like super thirsty for creation, but I talk a lot about just how kids are just terrible on offense, and mostly it's about creating the offense. It's not even to say that they're not skilled and that they're not going to be good players, but it's just the decision making, and then the efficiency of it all, and the game has to slow down for them. And that just takes time for the majority of guys. What does kind of translate is just finishing, right? If you're an athlete that can dunk and run and play defense, you can kind of catch up a bit quicker on that end. So getting a 4 was a guy that was probably going to translate the best. And with Jalen, you don't want to have to push him to the limit every game. So yeah, it was really important to get a NBA. And it's just such an important defensive position in general. And I think you got a guy that's going to be really, really switchable long term. So I think as much as mad as like some people are about not getting creation, which I think is the biggest issue, and it's not necessarily personal at Asa. I was that way last year when we were picking at 1, right? And you're picking at 1, you're expecting a creator. We were picking at 23, and people were like mad that we didn't get a guy that can create his own shot. That I feel like is a little crazy, but no, I think Asa will be a really nice player.
yeah. I think he's gonna be fine. Hopefully, with the new spacing that we have with KP,
Hmm.
I'm, and hopefully the Hawks just make the right moves in free agency. But time will tell if they'll be able to pull it off. But I mean, so far they've been doing pretty well, honestly, during this off season. And by the way, Chris, I like that you used the word optionality, because Onsi Saleh has been using that word a lot in his press conferences. So that seems like one of his key words that he has used during the past few days. So
Yeah. I mean, options does work, right? But optionality sounds cool. So
yeah. It before we just end this off, what are your guys' general thoughts so far on Onsi Salah's first few days as a GM so far, basically?
Demon Onsi, he's taking advantage of the Pelicans maybe multiple times at this point. We don't really know what he was doing. for sure behind the scenes. The way he's operating now, those moves, probably some of the better ones, probably influenced by him. Yeah, he's done a really good job. I think the Kristaps move is like a really high upside play with little risk because of the money, right? And then if it does play out and he is healthy and you guys are winning, then this is a guy that might accept like a quick 2-year deal just to stay and have a bit of winnings, get to start for a couple years and do his thing, and then maybe try to get his final deal somewhere. So yeah, it's he's moving well. I think he's so far it looks like he's executing their vision. I think Karras is supposed to be coming back soon, so I'm interested to see what the next move is. But yeah, so far so good for me.
What do you think, Marco?
Yeah, man, you can't. I like Onzi is getting deals done that you would never thought that deals we would get done. He's doing things, I don't think Landry could have pulled off. No shade at Landry, but I don't think just because of history and have we seen it play out in the past, I don't think these are deals like Landry is like, hey, and no more Hawks DNA, get that shit out of here, man. So I'm happy with what Onzi is doing. He's clearly aggressive. He's clearly doing things, to make sure we get over that hump. I'm pretty sure he knows how wide open the East is, probably outside of like 2 teams, but those 2 teams are still very much beatable. So yeah, I do like what we're doing. Very interested to see what the next move is. I feel like we'll probably sign a point guard Sunday since free agency starts Sunday at 6 p.m. So we'll probably sign a point guard, then use that TPE. We have till the 7th to use it, so I expect another deal coming soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe whatever. Expect a deal to come soon. So right now, Onzi has a in my book. What about you, man?
So far I'm giving him an A too. I think the fact that he's done these deals so quickly and that Pelicans Bucks pick during the draft, that's just like the cherry on top of everything. I'm just shocked how quickly and how opportunistic he's been during these past few days. I Landry, I'm just with Landry Fields, right? He did a few deals, but they weren't like this, right? They weren't like these game changing deals, except with Dyson, right? And he just focused so long on just one thing, and the fact that he just didn't just move on to like other options, like it seems like Onsi Saleh has been doing. It's just kind of impressive just how fast things are just going along right now, and it just shows a complete commitment to how Salah was just trying to just change his franchise, how committed he is to winning, and I think that's really impressive to me. And I'm just it just made me really optimistic about the season. And hopefully, the Hawks can actually figure things out and stay healthy. But with that, does anyone have any final thoughts before we close this out?
No, I mean just shout out Demon Onsi, keep it up. Yeah, and I'm excited to see KP and Trey. It's just something I talked about with some people on Hawks Twitter like years ago about what that type of pick and roll setup would look like. This is when he was in Washington, right? And he wasn't gonna stick in Washington. It's just a holding place before you go to like another before a real team tries to get you. And then he went to Boston, so obviously we couldn't get him for a couple years. But it is good to finally see like one of the guys we were looking for come in, and yeah, excited.
You got.
Um,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead. My bad.
again, like how we're going, man. It's clear that the Hawks want to win this year. You get you another wing, to either start or back up Risa, and get you, you don't even need like I said, you don't even need a serious backup guard. Like Chris said earlier, you don't really even really need a true backup point guard because Karras kind of feels that. You just need somebody who can come in and get some shots up so the offense doesn't go stagnant. And if Jalen is healthy, he's most likely with the bench unit anyway. So it's always a stagger. So you get, like I said, maybe 2 more pieces, you're easily a top 4 in this roster in this broken up East. So excited to how many moves we'll make next. And yeah, go Hawks.
My final thoughts are Joe Dumars MVP. And I think the Hawks are gonna make a lot of noise this season. And that's really it. And with that, we are gonna end this here today. Thank you all for watching. We will see you all for another edition of Hard Knock Hawks. See you then.
Ah.
Ah.
Oh.